about music. You will be inspired to think higher in life. Your gift. Join the music's and Michelle and Gina. Turn this up and through your speakers. It's the music of music.
Hey, y'all. We are the Muses Behind the Music, and I am your host, Michelle Fallon. It is great to have you all with us this evening and have you with us no matter what time of the day you might be listening in, taking a view at this. Do me a favor, will you, right now, and go on ahead if you're on Facebook and like and share. If you're on YouTube, go on ahead and subscribe to our page. We are definitely glad that you are a part of our family, and we're going to have just a beautiful conversation with a friend in the music field with me, standing strong, this sister, Dawala Simmons-Burke, who is doing so many great things. I'm always talking about the fact that we don't get the opportunity to really hear a lot about female conductors. I feel like we are in this space where we're beginning to open up, especially on the classical field, Western classical music field. And that's really important that we have a generation who is coming up that can see Black and brown people, but especially women who don't normally take the podium or who aren't on main stages, be in that spotlight. But this woman right here does not have that issue. Dawala is the current director of the Choral and Vocal Studies program at Winston-Salem State University in North Carolina. She's the founder of 4 of the 5 choral ensembles. That's a huge deal because, you know, when you're at a university and you have one that's existing and then you create more, and those are also like they are full throttle, the programs are viable and people are coming in wanting to be a part of it, that says a great deal of what it is that she is doing as a pedagogue and as an individual in the field. So at Winston-Salem State, they are named, oh God, don't kill me, but the Winston-Salem State University Singing Divas, get it, the Scala Cantorum Complesso Voce, and the renowned Winston-Salem State University Burke Singers. The other one that many people have heard about, also known as the Singing Rams, is the University Choir. And that is one of the first student organizations founded at the university. The WSSU, as they like to just throw those acronyms down, has performed with the Gateway Symphony Orchestra, Winston-Salem Symphony Orchestra, Dvorak Symphony Orchestra, Color of Music Festival Symphony, the New England Symphony Orchestra. Maestra Simmons-Burke has conducted Gabriel Fauré's Requiem with the New England Symphony and New England Symphony Chorale at Carnegie Hall. She returned to Carnegie Hall to conduct the Winston-Salem State University Choir in a mini concert, their own, like their thing, right? That's huge. They've been across the world to Prague and Czech Republic and Nassau, Bahamas, just to name a few places, from Africa across the United States. They've been to the Kennedy Center, and Maestra has conducted the 105 Voices of History concert choir. She's done so much. Her bio is just so very extensive. But what I absolutely love about her is her spirit. And I don't say that lightly. I love the fact that what you see is what you get. She gives of herself. And those young people have been a dynamic force in moments of healing that she has gone through and is still in the process of going through. But the love of music has truly connected her and her students together. There, it's family. It's family, and it's a bond that won't be broken. I want to share with you all a little bit of these awesome young people and a video that they have created, so you'll get an opportunity to hear the Singing Rams. They wrote this song. It was students who wrote it, and then they received in 2018 Telly Awards for this particular song. That's just dope. Here we go, the Singing Rams.
You see, singing WSSU. You see, singing WSSU. Gathering unity, serving community, singing in harmony the realms, loving all humanity, singing for our voice to ring. Joining my brothers and sisters to sing, let's sing WSSU.
Y'all, will you kindly please welcome my sister, my friend, my colleague inside this awesome world of music, the Dawala Simmons-Burke. Hello, Maestra.
Hello, my dear. How are you?
I'm blessed, and I'm in a spirit of gratitude. Gratitude for you, the work that you are doing. We have this call for young people, and so you got to have the love and the passion for it, because it doesn't always pay well. But it ain't about the payment, for real, for real. Okay, the payment comes in what we see when these kids take on something that we have poured into them.
Yeah.
And you might not see it right away, but the impact of it, they always come back and they share with us. So I'm so blessed by the work that you are doing and continue to do at Winston-Salem State. I have had some of my COTG lambs go and matriculate themselves over into your group, and I hope that they showed themselves.
They did.
Oh, okay. That's important. That's really important too. Hey, Dawal, how long have you been at Winston-Salem? Uh-oh.
Right, the age question, right? I've been at Winston-Salem State, I'm glad to say, for 32 years.
Woo! Oh my. Yes.
Yes, 32.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
When you decide to leave,
Mm-hmm.
you will be leaving such a great legacy.
Wow.
I mean, seriously, such a great there's a lot of things that have taken place over a 32-year course of time. You've probably seen your kids go off and have their own children and get married and go through, just life changes and experiences with them, and what becoming musicians themselves, if not educators themselves. And so that is such what you gonna do?
Oh, I've got things to do. I got things to do.
Oh.
Listen, not only have I seen these wonderful young people go off and have children, listen, I've been there long enough that I have taught their children. I've taught their nieces,
Wow.
nephews,
Wow.
their children, and
Wow.
they've graduated. And
Wow.
so what I tell people is they started early. They
Absolutely.
Yeah, they started early having these families. Like sometimes they started while they were in school.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. So, and time waits for no one.
Yeah.
Now, when it gets to the point, it will not get to this point, but when it gets to the point that you're teaching the grandchildren of the children, now that's too long. That's too long.
But you know what? I hate to say it because in society today, when we were coming up, our grandparents were older in numbers.
Absolutely.
Nowadays,
Our parents were older in numbers.
absolutely, right? So now
Yeah.
we're getting some people who,
Yeah.
grandma, and you look at them and they're 40,
That
35
30.
years old, and 30.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've taught them from, all different areas. And
Yes.
so, yeah, it's very possible you'll be teaching some grandkids coming up.
Not probable. Not probable. No. Now that doesn't mean that those children of the children haven't had children, but their children have to spend some years in school before getting to Winston-Salem State. So
Right,
that's why I say it's not probable.
right. I got you. Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because I have just
Mm.
recently retired from, and I hate using that word because when people talk to me, they think that I have nothing else going on in my life and are like, hey, but you're retired. Like, can't you like come and hang out? I am a musician.
Mhm.
And the retirement for me is when the Lord removes me from the earthly realm. There's so much work to do. And
Mhm.
then I'm done. Do you see yourself like that?
Hmm. Like removed from the classroom.
Removed from here on earth. That's when I'm going to no longer do anything because I can't.
I can't say that I can't see myself yet not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I said there are so many things that I'm dipping and into, on the side,
Yeah.
that I would like to do more. I would like to get more involved in
Mhm.
and do it a little bit more. Right now, my I'm not going to call it a job because I don't see it as a job,
Yeah.
but my sharing every day at Winston-Salem State
Mhm.
is all consuming
Mhm.
right now. And so a lot of people just think, as I'm sure you know, said, well, you're the choir director, and so all I'm doing is waving my hands all day. But that's not,
That's what my kids think that I do.
yeah, it's not the case. Not
Right.
the case. I have a good load of teaching
Yes.
that I'm doing. And actually, I am adjunct at another university.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm at Bennett
Mhm.
College, all women's school, and I'm
Mhm.
I'm teaching their applied voice lessons. So yeah, it seems like wherever I gave myself a little bit of space to breathe, for some reason I went and filled it with something with something else. Of course, I had musical, but I like sharing. I love oh, look, hey, sweetheart.
Okay.
I love sharing and I love learning from these young people. That's the thing. I'm afraid that number one, if and when I leave from the classroom, I
Mm.
won't be able to figure out this technology because I'm telling you, I depend on my children. They know they better answer my
Right.
phone. I'm not your best friend, so I'm not calling to chit chat. I got a problem.
We're in the same boat
Yeah.
because I say it to the kids all the time, and and now it's really bad because I'm always like, hold on, let me put on my glasses so I can see what you're doing with it. And what do I do on Instagram? It's just not. It's not my calling, but it's theirs. And they do it so well, and I appreciate it just like you do. I really do. So,
Yeah.
how did you get to Winston Salem though? Like, what was the what was the path that led you to that school and you said this is a good space for me?
Okay. Well, actually, I guess I need to share a little bit about how music even was a part of my life.
Hmm.
And most folks that know me well and know me intimately know the backstory of especially my parents. It was not an option. If you were going to live at, and this was my address in Georgia, 213 Lamar Street. I'm quoting my mother. If
Right.
you were going to live at 213 Lamar Street, breathe her air,
All right.
wear her clothes,
All right.
and eat her food,
Right.
you were going to do something musical because my parents saw music as the discipline that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't want idle minds in the house. And so music was always a part of our family, immediate and extended family. My grandmother, who was Edmonia J. Simmons, the music teacher, private piano teacher of Dr. Roland Carter,
Wow.
and his choral director in Chattanooga, Tennessee, was, of course, a music educator and a big time music educator and proponent in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the summers, we would go to Chattanooga for the summers, and most of our cousins on my mother's side were in Chattanooga. And so everybody somehow had some part of music in their life, and either they were singers or instrumentalists or even both. We if when it was our turn to stay at Gma Simmons' house, we had to have lessons, piano lessons. And so we oftentimes made that at the end of our visitation in Chattanooga,
Right.
but she would be in another room and can tell that you weren't doing the right fingering, not looking.
Oh, stop it.
Absolutely, because she could hear the skip
Lack of
that you were doing. Yeah, she said, third finger. That sounds like a second finger to me.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, she was something. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this that seriously. I just want to be able to,
Mhm.
that's not how that was going to be. So
Mhm.
music was a part of our family, and it still is. I have relatives even in the R&B field that are doing well. Usher is my cousin.
You better you y'all. I didn't know that. Hold up. You better stop it.
Yeah. Usher's grandfather and my mother were brothers and sisters.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
see how small this world is?
It is. It is. It is. And there's so many others, of his mother's brothers and sisters have children who are musicians too, and that play in bands and things. So music, to be honest with you, is just a big part of our family.
Yeah.
And so everybody in our house had to take piano lessons until you went to college.
Mm-hmm.
And then you should also choose another area in music to concentrate in. So
in music, not in something else, in music.
in music.
Wow. That's very different.
So piano lessons was a must. All three of us. I had two brothers. So all three of us had piano lessons. I chose to take private voice lessons. My older brother took private organ lessons. and my younger brother took private trumpet lessons.
Mm.
Now, after you got through with all of that, you could do some other stuff if you wanted. So I was a big sports person.
What?
So I played basketball. Yes.
Stop it. So y'all, I'm learning some stuff about Dawala here. What?
I
Okay.
played basketball, and both brothers played football.
Okay.
And so, I mean, by this time, and then you have to go to school. So you didn't have any time to do anything else. So that kept you out of trouble.
Yep.
And I really believe, my parents didn't say that, but I really believe it's like, if you can do this, this, and this, now if you can find other times to do other things, then okay, well and good. But in my small town where we were from, just so many people, even my sister-in-law, my older brother, we all went to the same church. We took piano lessons from the same person because there was a local college there. My first performance in an opera was a Mall and the Night Visitors.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Mall,
Mm-hmm.
and it was right there on Fort Valley State. It was Fort Valley State College at the time on that campus. And so there thus started the groundwork of music being so overwhelming. My mother and her sister sang in church and conducted. I was the youth choir director when I was a youth. We all played for Sunday schools. My in-law, my brother's wife, her dad was the superintendent of Sunday school. So he had a group. Nobody had to play every Sunday.
In the Simmons family. There's no need. y'all handled it all. And your story is so different because most people that you talk to, and this, that if you talk about their beginnings into music, it was almost for the parents, you did this when you were younger, but you chose something else. Music was your, you need something to fall behind. But your family said, no, there is no. Get another instrument in music. Fall on, but it's music. And I love that. I love it because it also speaks to our young people, the message that this is viable. You can live, you can have a career in it, you can pay your bills, you can be successful into this industry. I love that. So then it wraps into the question I asked before. How do you drive yourself all the way into
Winston? Yeah. So I became, of course, I attended Hampton. It was Institute at the time.
Yes. Thank you for saying that because, as a Howardite, I need that to be clear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're not going to get into the original HU kind of. We're not going to do that. So
let's not do it.
No. Yes. So Hampton was where I always wanted to attend. And that's my home by the sea. And I was lucky. Dr. Carter had left the university to had a sabbatical. But when he came back was right when I came to Hampton. And so I got to study under him and have all of my 4 years of choral experience under Dr. Carter. And I tell you, it is anytime I see him, sometimes he just shows up in my classroom right now. It's just coming through. Yeah. And as much as I think he thinks he's giving and pouring into those students of mine, he still pours into me. There's not anything that you cannot learn from him when he shows up. Really, it's not. So I was there, and then I left there, graduated, and went to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. And followed another great musician who was there at Hampton at the time, and Maurice, and he was working on his doctorate. I went there to work on my master's degree. And so after that, then I started teaching. And so teaching it was never a doubt that I wanted to be an educator.
Really?
Never. My mom was an educator, and I watched how the students, as a matter of fact, I oftentimes would be so jealous of how those students loved her so much. She
Mhm.
gave so much of her
Mhm.
time. And I say jealous because there would be times she would say, Dwala, now I know I told you we were going to do one, two, three,
Right.
but it is important for me
Yeah.
to go to this person's house,
Yes.
to talk with parents and
Yes.
share. And
Yes.
I promise you, we will do so oftentimes I was asked to hold it for a minute, just
Mhm.
hold on. But she would, and of course, she always honored her promise. But it was that kind of thing. I said, wow, how can somebody love somebody that didn't really come from them that much?
Yeah.
So if I could tell my mom right now, I know she knows, I know she's watching,
Mhm.
but I understand it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yes.
I get it. So I started teaching in the Atlanta Fulton County Public Schools.
Mm.
So went back to Georgia, and then I went back to Hampton again. And
Well, Hampton was drawing you too.
that's right. That's right. And but when I went back to Hampton, there were no teaching positions there. So I was working as an office specialist,
Mm.
manager at a nephrologist for 1 year. And I'm gonna tell you, I prayed to God often out loud.
Mm.
I said, Lord, if you find me another teaching job, I promise you
Wow.
I will not ever stop teaching until it's time to
Oh,
stop.
wow. That's
That's
what's
how
called
much I
called
miss.
real calling.
Yeah, it is. I missed teaching so much, even though, and it was like you said, it was never about the money. I made more money at this doctor's office,
Mhm.
but it wasn't my calling.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was not a love.
Yeah.
It did not make me feel that if I didn't do this, I could not take another breath.
Right.
So that's why that prayer was such that it was. And so lo and behold, I got a teaching job um, in at Voorhees College
Mm.
in Denmark, South
Mhm.
Carolina, now Voorhees University. And so I had 3 years there. And the director of choirs there is one of my former students. And I'm
Wow.
telling you, my heart does me so glad to know that that program is being run by such a very competent young lady in the field of classical gospel, whatever she can do it. Rachel Jones is her name.
Come on, Rachel Jones. Shout
That's
out to you.
right.
Yes.
And then I came to Winston-Salem State, and thus I am right there right now. So I've been
Yes.
here for 32 years. But that's how I came to be at Winston-Salem State.
I
Yeah.
love what you said about, this thing that you're asking God, because what I'm doing right now, and I could breathe without it, but teaching, I just cannot. Do you see in your students today that kind of passion and
Mhm.
drive for whatever it is that they're trying to go into, but specifically music?
Some, yes, there are some students. There are some students that come there with this passion.
Yes.
But I often, every year, it never fails. There are students that are in the singing rams or the university choir
Mhm.
that are not music majors. The majority of my singers are not music majors
Wow.
in that choir. Um, the ones that are on scholarship, the majority of the ones that are on choir scholarship
Hmm.
are not music majors.
Wow.
However, I do have some students that may be majoring in something else, and they'll pull me aside. I had a conversation today, as a matter of fact, and they said, "I just need to ask you something." And I said, "Yes. How did you know that this was what you wanted to do?" Oftentimes, I know one of two things. When I'm asked that question, music is their passion,
Yes.
but somebody has told them, quote unquote,
Can
get a real life,
I know it. I
get
know
a,
it.
get a real job,
Yeah. Yeah.
or they are where they want to be in their major, but they are not sure that they are as passionate as they see me be in what I do. And so I had someone and they said, yes, I want to be in the medical field. But every day you come in here, it's almost like I couldn't wait for you all to get here.
Yeah.
Kind of spirit they said that I bring.
Yeah.
And so she said, I think as I've been looking at this field, I think I chose it because I grew up hearing people say, well, doctors make a lot of money. And so I want to be financially stable. And so I said, well, okay, let's talk about that. I don't care what it is that you are going to be doing, but you must choose it wisely because you're going to be doing it for the better part of your life. And who wants to be miserable?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when it becomes a job.
Right.
And I said, so maybe the question you need to be asking is, are you seeking a job? Are you seeking employment? Or are you seeking your passion?
Yeah. That's so great. That's because that's always a question we get. I feel is especially those who might be in music and trying to do this, but so how did you know that this was the right thing to do? And my answer is kind of similar to what you were saying. I always say, pursue the passion and things will follow.
Yes.
If you try to pursue the provisions, that's when you're unhappy. And I get it that, I see people all the time who, as artists, we're hustling and bustling sometimes and doing all these little piecemeal gigs and whatever it might be, but we're loving it. We're loving it because it's a freedom we're finding in being able to live in our truth. And live in that space. So how did you keep your kids engaged during pandemic? That was crazy. Like you can't be singing online like that. I mean, what did you do? Did you get affected in the area of recruitment? I mean, did you lose numbers a lot? What happened for Winston?
Yeah. I tell you, the pandemic came at certainly, I think it's tough for everybody, especially those who are in the arts. And I'm not saying especially for other folks it didn't, but because what we do requires that we be front and center.
Yes.
Even to evaluate what a singer is doing, we can't really do that behind this screen fully, because we are having to look at the whole anatomy, the body of what the body is doing, what it's not doing, in order to say, no, now do this, watch your posture. Deep breaths, do that. I mean, we still can do some of that somewhat, but when it came to ensembles, you can't have everybody singing at the same time. There wasn't a platform that really catered to those of us that needed to have ensembles singing simultaneously. I actually had said to some colleagues, I think I was talking to David Morrow. Oh, Lord have mercy, that's a brother for me. He is. I love me some David. I tell you, I did. He is a nut, but he is. I was telling him, and he and I both. Maybe I shouldn't tell this story, but anyway, he and I both said we ain't doing no virtual choirs. We're not doing that. And what did we have to do that? Absolutely. But this was the beginning of it. But I said, well, I think what I'm going to do is concentrate on music literacy. more
Yep.
reading, because oftentimes I get students that come, they have the wonderful gift, but
Mhm.
they're not readers. They can't read. Their program didn't concentrate on that. And
Right.
so they come um, not with the reading literacy.
Mhm.
And so oftentimes that requires us to teach differently,
Yep.
to be inclusive of those along with the music readers, and not have our music readers be bored because we are having to do a lot of repetition, or
Right.
that kind of thing. Rote teaching, all of that. So I think the students actually engaged me more, because
Mm.
the pandemic came right after the passing of my husband.
Yeah.
So for quite a while, I showed up because I didn't want them worried or
Yeah.
concerned
Yeah.
about me. So there were times when I would get on, and I would fight to be on, because I
Mhm.
was in a grief funk, as I call it.
Mhm.
Um, really, really desperately trying to make it moment by moment,
Yeah.
not day by day, but
Right.
moment by moment, because anything could be a trigger, you know,
Sure.
for me. And I oftentimes wouldn't know what those triggers would be until they happened.
Yeah.
And so I thought I was good at hiding
Mm.
certain things. With my students, as we talked earlier, um, they notice everything.
Absolutely.
Notice everything. And so if I was batting my eyes quite often, they knew I was fighting tears.
Yeah.
And so they would say, we don't have to sing today. Let's talk about some things. And so
Yeah.
I had leaders in that particular choir that knew everything was not okay with everybody, and so they knew even things about themselves I wasn't privy to. they
Yeah.
they didn't tell me because they did not want to concern me. I had students that were dealing with mental illnesses,
Yeah.
and being in a pandemic and shut down
Oh Lord.
didn't help. That
Not at all.
didn't help.
Yeah.
And so we showed up for each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
We showed
Yeah.
up for each other. These young people, um, current students and former students,
Mhm.
and I've shared this with many people who have asked. When I say this, I am very serious, because I know where I was. If it were not for my students, I'm
Mm.
not quite sure that I would be here right
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I get that. And we've talked a bit about that, and you begin to see them in a very different light.
yeah, yeah,
One moment they are students, the next moment they become the friends, the
yeah,
family members,
yes.
the people who you're thinking that you're taking care of. Now they're switching the role.
Oh boy.
You know, child takes care of the parent.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it is a beautiful thing, and I often think that that is the power of music, that is one of the great connections that had it been for any other class, and I'm not saying y'all anybody can biology and anything else, that y'all wouldn't have done it, but there's something that's so very special about the music room,
Yeah.
about the arts room in general, whether you're a band teacher, choir teacher, orchestra, or you're a sculptor, painter, whatever. There's something that's so very special about the environment. It's almost like we have to purposely create other things in there, and that's what allows the music to liven itself, and it exists.
Oh wow.
You having these dynamic kids around you, how did they and how do they? Because I know that you are still in the process of moving through, and there ain't no
Mm.
time limit to it. How do they continue to support you on the healing journey?
I tell you, it can be any day. I know they know I don't like surprises now.
Ah! Yes. Yeah. You know what, Dewala? We a lot alike. We are a lot alike. I tell
Yeah.
you, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they know, and they say, "Why don't you like you just want to be in charge of everything?" I said, "Everything that I'm supposed to be in charge of." Yes, yes, but they don't pay me any attention sometimes when it comes to that. So if I can think back on a time when they must have been noticing every day, it was just harder and harder for me to show up to work when we were coming back to the classroom a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And on Fridays is we have class, but we go about having class very differently.
Yeah.
And so on Fridays, I normally give them words of encouragement about life, about life. When we exit class every day, we repeat a poem. A bell is not a bell till you ring it. A song is not a song till you sing it. Love in your heart wasn't put there to stay. Love isn't love until you give it away. And now we've added, and how do you do it? At a distance.
Thanks for COVID.
That's right, at a distance.
That's
But
great.
they came and they said, listen, they know I am certainly a person that believes in affirming who you are and what it is, and to speak it,
Yes.
to do, and then don't just speak it, don't just speak the goals, but speaking it and then saying what those action things would be
Yes.
in order to make it come to fruition.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So they came to class with this great big jar, and there were pieces of paper in there. And they said to me, they said, every day you get up, before you start doing anything, because we know you get up because you've told us, and you begin to thank God for awakening you and getting you through, the night. We need you to pull from this jar an affirmation.
Mm.
And we need you to tell us. So they started
Yeah.
like you say, the roles were reversing. We need you to tell us when you come to classes, we meet every day,
Yeah.
what your affirmation was. They wrote affirmations
Wow. I got goosebumps. Wow.
in the jar.
Wow.
So before, sometimes I would forget, I go right into teaching and they would go,
Yeah.
we need an affirmation. And so I would tell them what that affirmation was. And they said, so what are you going to do in order to make that come to fruition? So they gave me homework assignments that I didn't mind doing because it's something that I want them to do. So it's almost like, doing the vision board out
Yes.
loud.
Yeah.
So I have gone back now. Of course, it's been a year or so. And so, but I put the affirmations back in the jar and I do them all over again. I do it all over again. These students are,
Yeah.
when you think you're not reaching them,
Yo, yeah. I know it.
when you think you're not reaching them, I tell mentees, keep teaching,
Yeah.
keep going, because you are reaching them. You really are. Sometimes they're just fighting to be like everybody else,
Yeah. Yeah.
but keep working at it. This proves it, that these young people listen and they hear you, and they want to give back in return. I tell you, I don't think I'm extra special. I think everybody that's an educator has students like this.
Yeah.
And they've been my whole world. They were before, and they definitely are now.
Yeah. What a word. That's a great word of encouragement. And so, all of the educators who are watching and listening in right now, for those of you who are young into the
Yeah.
teaching journey, and those of you who are more seasoned into the teaching journey, I think that that is a word that goes for us all. you know, in
Yeah.
school settings, or if you're in organizations, if you
Yeah.
are surrounded in a space where you are pouring into
Yes.
someone, yeah, don't give up because people are listening. I love and appreciate hearing that so much. I know that one of the things that we talked about as we shared about your husband's passing and the healing process, that you are writing a book.
Mhm.
Care to share?
Yeah, I didn't start out to do this. I actually had to find a way to say some of the things that I couldn't say
Mhm,
when people were felt like they were helping me.
mhm. Come on, give an example because I know we are all in this place
Mhm.
right now.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right.
Mhm,
So oftentimes, and actually just recently, last week, I would get people who I respect wholeheartedly because of who they are in our community, because of who they have been to me.
mhm, mhm,
And I often call them sister, friends, mentors, mothers, aunties, those people
mhm, mhm.
um, have said things such as, Dwala, how long has it been since Fab? That was my love name for him, but it's that those were actually his initials for his name, Fred or Fab, Fred Allen Burke. How long has it been since his transition? And I said, yeah, oh boy, it's going on 4 years.
Mhm.
But many days it feels like yesterday to
Sure.
me.
Sure.
And this one friend said to me, said, Dwala, you're young enough now. You ought to be even considering dating and all of that. You don't need to shut yourself down and
Mhm.
not open up your heart to someone else. You need to almost be getting over this by now.
Mercy.
And I tell you, that happened more from the very beginning.
Mhm.
And oftentimes people will say things such as, "The Lord wouldn't put more on you than
Yeah, we
you
he
can
you can bear.
can bear,"
You know,
or "Time heals all
oh,
hurt."
I hate that one
Or
most.
there are many. There are many.
Yeah.
Uh, and um, and just move on. Those kinds of things. And so I began every day because I could never respond to these people
Mm,
because immediately
mhm.
because of my respect for them
Mm.
and because I would be so hurt.
Yeah.
Most of the times these are telephone conversations, so I would mute and I would be bawling,
Yeah.
and because I would be so hurt, I couldn't say what I was really feeling. So I said I had to get these words out. So I began journaling
Mm.
every night. Began journaling, and so I had this chapter of phrases and terms that people would use that would just tear me apart.
Yeah.
And or they would say, well, I understand. That's one. I
Mm.
understand.
You yeah.
And technically, I just, if we have listeners on here, let me share with you.
Mhm.
These are sayings. I'm not saying that I have been removed from having said this before
Right.
Fred passed away.
Mhm.
So I'm telling you, we say what we have heard
Yes.
people say.
Yes.
There's no manual about it.
Yeah.
But I tell you one thing, when it happens to you, you learn there are some things that we probably never should have said.
Yeah.
And because it's not helping, actually, it doesn't help. So I looked at this journal. I actually have filled 3 journals.
Wow.
And I said, I want to help. I do want to help others.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to help by sharing my journey. So
Yeah.
I just recently decided what I thought this book was going to be named, and it's going to be entitled Good Grief.
Oh, I love the pun on it. I love everything. The oxymoron. I just love everything about that. That's perfect.
Yeah, so the goodness of it has come about trying to want to help others in the midst of this. This is not it's not me telling you how
Yeah.
you should feel about a loved one, especially losing a spouse.
Sure.
This is just it's a love story actually. There are many things that people don't know that are still happening.
Mhm.
Fred Burke is loving me still from afar.
Oh, absolutely.
I get before he passed away somehow, and I don't know how he did this, but he called a local florist.
Mm.
And the reason I say I don't know how he did it is because I thought I was there all the time, and so I would have had to have known about it. But he got this one past me. And so he paid for 5 years of flowers being delivered to me on special days. So I'm telling you, initially I had no idea who they were because there would be no note. So I called the florist and I said, listen, I think you um, have an error here. I received these flowers like the right uh, his passing and the burial. The very next week was my birthday.
Mm.
Up came flowers. Then October, it was his birthday. On the days of these anniversaries of celebrations, flowers.
Mm.
Our wedding anniversary, flowers. Valentine's Day, flowers.
Wow.
Christmas, my very favorite time of the year, flowers, all of this. But I told the florist, I said, listen, I really believe you have the wrong home. And I knew the florist because that's exactly where he went. And he said, no, why do you think that? I said, because there's no card here. And and I don't know if someone is trying to be a suitor or something. I said, but I'm not ready for that. So you can
you tell you tell them I ain't dating nobody right now. Do send the flowers back.
I said, so I'm gonna bring them. That he said, no, 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 Mrs. Burke. I said, yes. I said, I'm hurting so, and I really I can't do this. And he said, hold on just a minute. He got his wife on the phone. The wife got him. I said, well, I'm talking to your husband. I'm not quite sure why he put you on the phone. So she told him to get back on the phone. And the two of them were there. And they said, she said, honey, you're going to have to tell her. And I said, tell me what? And so he said, I knew, because I began by saying, I don't know if you know, but Fred passed away. He said, yes, I did know that. I saw in the obituaries of the paper. I did see that, and I'm so, so sorry. He said, Fred was one of my very good friends. And so he said, do all of these flowers are from Fred?
Mm.
Oh,
I know that. I know you fell out. I know
oh.
you fell out.
I was like, how? How? He said, Fred told me that very early on, you were going to make me tell you.
Sure enough, right?
He said, she's
Yeah.
going to figure this out somehow, and you're going to eventually have to tell her. And he said, but as long as you can, please don't. And so he said, Fred has paid like for 5 years
Wow.
for you to have flowers delivered on these days. I said, what days? What days? Because I had received two
Mhm.
at that point. And he told me he had that because I really still didn't believe him. And I said, name the dates. He named the dates, everything. He went, I said, oh my God, Fred Burke. And he said, I said, well, I can't receive these. I can't. Because it makes me feel as if he's still here.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I want to feel that right now. It's like he's going to come through that door any minute.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, I think it will get better. He said, well, why don't you do this? I'm sure Fred had other friends that he may have wanted to have give flowers to, or he said he often talked about these people in his church. I said, yes, I know you're trying not to say this, but the girlfriends that I let him have. Oh gosh. And so these were often the senior ladies in
right. Absolutely. That just loved him. Yeah, I get it.
They loved him so. They loved him so.
Right.
And so I said, yes, on Easter, we would go and give her flowers. If we went out of the country, he said, Dwala, I need you to buy so-and-so, 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 a waitress at a restaurant that he like that took care of him all the time. So we had to buy gifts for these ladies.
Yes.
So I said, that's a good idea. And I did begin to do that, but then I stopped and I just said, I'm going to continue that tradition. I will give them, I will go and purchase the flowers and give them. But I said all of that to say this: it was one thing after the other. Fred also has left love notes around this house. I don't know that I found them all.
Wow.
But he placed them in, and I knew he knew his time was near, because he says, if you're reading this, then you know. And so it's those things, and I'm still emotional now about it.
Oh, yes.
But I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So when people tell me it's time for you to move on, I don't know that I will ever move on. I'll be able to move through.
Yes.
And there's a difference. There's a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Isaac Cates, the musician, gospel musician.
Yes.
I tell you, he was a lifesaver for me. So many people. David Morrow. I can't even begin to call names.
Yeah.
But Isaac wrote a song called what is it? Be Healed. Be Healed. I'm telling you, he called me, he prayed with me, he prayed for me, and he says, Dwala, receive this song. Be healed. And at any time, and he shared some of his personal things, but he said, anytime you're feeling like you just can't keep going, play this song. And I've been able to share it with others who are now experiencing these similar things in their lives. So music still is a part of that. I've even had, other composer friends who have written things in honor, in memory of Stacey Gibbs. Wrote a piece called Fly Away, I'm sorry. And so that was also, Fred was one of the inspirations for that piece. There have been a lot of people that have done things musically. And I'm telling you, music is a great healer.
Oh God, yes.
Music allows you to involve the feelings, but be able to receive what it is and validate that it's okay.
It is
okay. I'm not embarrassed for sharing these tears today.
Yeah.
I know that my God is a collector of my tears. Ooh. I know that He is a collector of my tears. And so right now, music is saving my life. So that's why I'm still doing what I do.
Absolutely. Saving it through those beautiful children
Yeah.
that you work with and you share with, because I love that you said that, you share
Yeah.
every single day, with the people who are friends, who have shared songs, who have shared prayers, who just,
Mhm.
lift you and surround you in light and love. It is a healer. And I
Yeah.
thank God for, I think, the most incredible gift that He has ever given the world
Mm.
is
Yeah.
His gift,
It's good music. Yeah.
absolute gift of
Yeah.
music. There's a reason that, He had to boot Lucifer out of heaven.
Yes, yes, yes. That's right. You're right about that.
Music, and you over here trying to run the whole entire world. So,
Yes, yes, yeah.
and look at this is mom number one over here says it's okay to be the
Yes, Dolores Saunders, that number one mom.
okay. Love her so much.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
for being vulnerable and sharing that space with you, because so many of us have been through, are going through, will go through all this thing that we call life and death,
Yes. Yeah.
and how we're going to handle it. I think that the book will become such a blessing and a tool to others, because, I know I've found myself saying those same old lines, and I've tried to make myself very conscientious of it, because I hate, I hate the
Yeah.
typical phrases, because it feels
Yeah.
sometimes so very disingenuine,
Yes.
and sometimes just ain't nobody want to hear it. You going through, and I know that what I'm going through is designed for me, but I don't want to hear the verse about, God want to give you more than you can bear. I don't want to know that at the moment.
I believe, because first of all, that's not biblical.
Mm,
That's something we made up. I believe God didn't mean for you to have to go through it alone. See, there's a
yeah,
difference. We're
absolutely.
going to go through it. We're
Mhm.
going to go through it. So he's going to always be there. It's not that he's not going to give you as what you can't bear,
Mm,
is that he wants you to know that he wants you to depend on him. He's going to help you through it.
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And as He is
yeah.
pushing you and helping you through, what can you share with us as we wrap up this evening? Because there's just so much. I always say this on every show, the conversations just go, and I never know where they're going to go. It's always planned out in a way, where we have a script, but let God rule and reign and do what is best. What is your life philosophy?
Hmm. Life philosophy really revolves around understanding that life is this race.
Mm,
And so, Ecclesiastes says about, the race is not given to the swift, so we're not concerned about how fast or how quickly you get there. I always tell students, they think that whatever this is, that they see and call successful, being successful,
mm.
just happened like overnight. I said, do you know how first of all, do you know how old I am? No, you really do not. And it didn't always be, but when it's your time, it's your time. And
Period.
so you have to, I'm always encouraging. I have a sister friend on Facebook, well, on certain platforms
Mm,
that are uh, it's just really trying to encourage her because she's not understanding why it's not happening for her right now
yes.
the way. And so I don't oftentimes respond on there because she gets a lot of those responses. I'll message her and say, just keep doing what you
Yeah.
do, so you don't have to get ready when it comes. You're going to be
Right.
with you. But what you must understand is you can't rush it
Nope.
when it's your time.
Yep.
It's your time.
Yeah.
And of course, God is funny. It's like you think that that's what you're supposed to be doing now. Sometimes he's protecting you from some things that could be happening to others. So it's like,
Amen.
when is your time? You're seasoned in the other areas where you don't have to be concerned about some of these things that are happening. So it really rests within Ecclesiastes, when even in that part where it says, and we have had many musicians, composers and arrangers who've written songs, and it says sometimes we'll have to walk alone, but I know it will work out for the good of them who
Yeah.
loves the Lord. Yeah. So there are going to be many times. I remember having sung a song that has this text, but I didn't really realize it until I really had to, what I thought was to walk a path alone, but realizing that I really never was alone. So my life philosophy actually deals with understanding what my passion is, understanding and knowing the reason why I think I was put here on earth,
Yes.
and just making sure that I can try to be the best I can be at doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. The best at it. I so appreciate you, Dewala. I do. I appreciate that you are such a woman of grace,
Mm.
because, with all those people writing stuff, and I would have said some words, but you have taught me tonight, Michelle. You need to have a little bit more grace.
Listen, I asked the Lord, can I sit at this table of grace? I tell you, last week I was drowning. I actually was. I said, if somebody says that to me one more time, my fingers wanted to just
type so fast. Your fingers. Girl, see, that's what I'm talking about. Grace. Lord, help me. Help me.
And I said, no, Dewala, that's not what you're. So you won't catch me telling people off on my platform.
Yeah.
People, I don't use those social media platforms for that reason. I really try to highlight what my students are doing and things like that, because I really believe in being able to go to the person. That's why it's resting uneasy with me. That's why I have to get this out some kind of way. But I don't want to be hurtful. I really believe these people believe they are helping.
Sure.
I really do believe that.
Good intentions.
And I know they have good intentions, but I just need them to think about what it is that I'm saying. But they can't, because I haven't said it to them.
Yes.
And
there you go. And it would be different had you said it to them. They still coming back with the same thing, but
that's right.
They're in a different space.
Yeah.
But thank you seriously for being such a wonderful, graceful, eloquent. Oh gosh, I almost think. Is your family at all from the islands? Because they love to tell us, you have to speak with wonderful articulation.
Actually, we do have family members down that list, and we were talking about this in my political music class today. They said there's no purity of anything. We have all these different cultures.
Yes.
In us, actually, only the Native Americans that are native to this country, as long as they weren't marrying outside of their race, or are the pure as far as that is concerned. But I don't know. English was a minor, so I did.
Well, there you have it. Because I'm like, something is there, and now I understand. Quite all right. That educator, we have to be able to teach next generation.
That's true.
Properly as well. Thank you so much for being a
Thank you,
phenomenal example to all, but especially the young brown and Black girls who are coming up, and they have someone that they can look at and say, this is attainable and I can be successful
They can.
with this. And, and also access. That's the beautiful thing, that they have access to you and
Mhm.
be able to talk and to be able to, pick your brain and to, just sit and eat. Break
That's right.
bread, sit and eat, and gain and glean on all of the knowledge and the experiences that you've been through. And at the same time, now that you are learning just how awesome it is to have some students that you can lean on and learn and glean and grow and be supported as well. So thank you so much. I know you have a lot coming on your plate. We are looking and that we are listening out. Do you have a website or anything that I can share with everybody real quick? Or how can people get in contact with you if they want to have the Singing Rams, if they want to come out to one of the concerts, if you're going to be in, the state that they live in, how can they reach you?
Right. The best way to reach me is through my university email, and that is Burke,
Mhm.
BURKEDW at wssu.edu. And I have some links that I can send to them where they can get the calendar if someone wants to audition right away, or they can reach out to me on my social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on both of those more than anything else. Skype, we have those too, but Facebook and Instagram, you can get me on those also.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you again, my sister, my friend.
Thank you.
I so
Thank you.
appreciate you, and we're going to have to do this again because we got a lot of stuff to cover later. And to all of those who have joined us this evening, thank you. Please go on ahead and share it with somebody who you think would really appreciate hearing this message, and like and subscribe. And remember, the music behind the music is just trying to build a platform to expose all of these phenomenal artists and their life stories so that somebody can just love and learn and believe in what it is they have to share. Thank you so much, supporters. Love to you all. Peace and blessings.